It's been largely fun engaging with Cyan World's opaque environments in the latest iteration of Riven, which brings visual upgrades to a formula that honestly nails down the best of what a point-and-click adventure should be. The follow-up to Myst builds on the original game's ambition, making it a sequel that's bigger. But is it better? I'd say the answer to that question is a bit more nuanced than a binary yes or no, since Riven does not have limitations that hold it back from overtaking its predecessor. You're probably wondering how I dare to say that about a game that's managed to stay relevant almost 3 decades after its original release. But stay with me, and let's begin with what's good. The story in Riven is a captivating journey to the Fifth Age, taking place in the titular Riven where Catherine, the wife of Atreus from the first game, has been trapped in a decaying age by Gen, Atreus' father. On its own, that's an interesting twist on Myst's narrative, where you rescue Atreus from his sons. The man has a messed up family tree, and it's up to you to try and restore a semblance of normalcy to it. That's easier said than done, though. Gen is a devious antagonist who's just waiting for Atreus to set foot in Riven with a linking book, allowing him to use it to escape Riven and leave it to its fate. He's been effecting changes that have resulted in a gradual decay of the age, and Atreus can only watch from afar, rife with worry for his beloved spouse. All that changed when you showed up on Myst, and Atreus now pins his hopes firmly on you, sending you to Riven without a linking book. That means that you have no way out until you find Catherine, restrain Gen, and send a signal to Atreus to come rescue the two of you. It's safe to say that things don't go according to plan. There are several ways that all of this pans out, depending on your actions, and it's a great way to add narrative depth while also making this one score higher on replay value. Your adventure begins with you being imprisoned on arrival by a stranger who doesn't speak the same language as you. However, you're rescued by a mysterious assassin who promptly falls off a cliff to their death as they make their escape. It's business as usual from there, as you're left on your own devices to try to navigate Riven's many islands, each of which comes with complex mechanisms that you need to figure out as you find them. There isn't a central hub like the library on Myst Island, and you're going to be flitting between different regions as you uncover more of what makes Riven tick. Where Myst's puzzles and environments were hard enough to crack, Riven takes things up a notch, bringing elaborate structures with interconnected rooms and mechanisms that can have you running around in circles for hours on end if this is your first time with the game. I'm no slouch when it comes to puzzles and games, but Riven is a title that reminds me of a time when video games needed you to have a guide or walk through handy. It's deliciously mysterious, and the visual overhaul does well to bring Riven to life in a way that only current-gen systems can manage. Just like Myst, solutions to the obstacles in your path aren't made evident, not in the slightest. But unlike Myst, they're so elaborate this time around that Riven's ambitions are there to see in every intricate mechanism you operate. Those ambitions, however, are a mixed bag. Yeah, they make Riven feel like its scale is miles ahead of Myst, giving us a new age that progresses fairly linearly, although you could double back to previously visited areas to uncover more secrets or lore. But it also makes Riven run the risk of being a title that's interesting until frustration has players dropping off. Now, you could say that Myst carried the same risk, but that one's puzzles seem simple in comparison to what's on offer here. And with a similar lack of any hand-holding whatsoever, Riven might be asking for more than what an average player could give. I could see many players hopping in to see what the fuss is all about and quickly falling back when the island simply refuses to cooperate with their search for Gen and Catherine. However, for those of you who stick with it, you're soon going to be looking at wonders that light up your imagination, each of which conveys the immense power that Atreus and Gen command. The adventure does well to hold your attention and pique your curiosity just enough to keep you coming back to bang your head against the walls of whatever structure the island you're currently on is thrown at you. Another complaint I've had with both Riven and its predecessor is the lack of any sort of challenge outside of the puzzles. I will concede that the point-and-click format may not necessarily work well with a combat system, but I would have appreciated some semblance of danger while I went around the islands. The sight of dangerous-looking creatures lounging around on a beach in the early sections of the game really made me get my hopes up, only for them to give me a passing glance before settling back into their cozy naps. Nevertheless, Riven is still a unique enough experience all these years later, and carries that torch that Myst lit up before it quite well. But is that enough to make this one a must-play in today's day and age? Well, that depends on what you're looking for. Are you looking for excitement and danger in a fantasy world? This one isn't for you then. But if you're in the market for something that brings a sense of awe and wonder to a fairly simple gameplay loop with solid replay value, you're gonna have many entertaining hours with this one. But on the whole, Riven and the Myst franchise in general are a dose of nostalgia that might work for hardcore fans and a bunch of newcomers with rare tastes. But for the rest of the gaming community, there probably isn't going to be enough meat on this one to make the average player give it the time it needs to unfold into the great title that it is. And that's a pity. But it's also a sign that times have changed since Riven hit the shelves all those years ago. Would I recommend picking this one up at its full price? I can honestly say that unless you're the type of player who likes their games to maintain a stony silence, you're probably better off waiting for a sale on this one. Make no mistake, it's still worth checking out and even cheesing with a detailed walkthrough. The only variable is you, and how likely you're to play this one as it's intended and have a good time doing so. Riven continues to be a classic, and this iteration of the game is the definitive way to play it for those of you who are looking for a bit of brain pain. Hey, did you know that we at Gaming Bolt upload new videos every day? Stick around, drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And let us know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future with a comment below.